Chapter 8 Novels, Society and History. Q.1. Explain the following. A. Social changes in Britain which led to an increase in women readers. B. What actions of Robinson Crusoe make us see him as a typical colonizer? Or, Daniel Defoe's Robinson Crusoe made the readers feel that they were part of a superior community. Support the statement. Or, what actions of Robinson Crusoe made him as a typical colonizer? Explain. C. After 1740, the readership of novels began to include poorer people. D. Novelists in colonial India wrote for a political cause. Or, how does the novel Pariksha Guru reflect the inner and outer world of the newly emerging middle classes? Ans. A. Social changes in Britain which led to an increase in women readers were as mentioned below. 1. The middle classes became more prosperous in the 18th century. Women, therefore, got more leisure to read as well as write novels. 2. The subject matter of many novels was women, their emotions and identities, their experiences and problems. Many novels were about domestic life, a theme about which women were allowed to speak with authority. The novels of Jane Austen give us a glimpse of the world of women in general rural society in Britain. These subjects increased their interests and led to increase in women readers. 3. Women drew upon their experience, wrote about family life and earned public recognition. 4. However, when women began writing novels, many people feared that they would neglect their traditional role as wives and mothers and homes would be in disorder. 5. By the 19th century, images of women reading silently, in the privacy of the room, became common in European paintings. B. The following actions of Robinson Crusoe make us see him as a typical colonizer. 1. He is an adventurer and slave trader. 2. He treats colored people not as human beings equal to him, but as inferior creatures. 3. He rescues a native and makes him his slave. 4. He does not ask for his name, native, but arrogantly gives him the name Friday. But at the time, Crusoe's behavior was right because colonialism was seen as natural. Colonized people were seen as primitive and barbaric. Colonial rule was considered necessary to civilize them as white man's burden. C. In the beginning, novels were so costly that the poor could not buy. For example, Henry Fielding's Tom Jones, 1749, was issued in 6 volumes priced at 3 shillings each, which was more than the income of a laborer in a week. But after 1740, the readership of novels began to include the poorer people due to the following reasons. 1. Circulating libraries were introduced in 1740. 2. Technological improvements in printing brought down the price of books. 3. Innovations in marketing led to an expansion in sales. For example, in France, publishers found that they could make super profits by hiring out novels by the hour. 4. The novel was one of the first mass-produced items to be sold. D. Leading novelists of the 19th century wrote for a cause as mentioned below. 1. Colonial rules regarding the contemporary culture of India as inferior. They depicted Indians as weak, divided and dependent on the British. 2. On the other hand, Indian novelists wrote to develop modern literature of the country that could produce a sense of national belonging and cultural equality with their colonial masters. 3. Many novels produced a sense of pan-Indian belonging. For example, Budeb Mukhopadhyay's (1827–94), Angariya Binimoy (1857) was written about Shivaji's battles against Aurangzeb and the way he escapes from prison. It depicts him as nationalist fighting for the freedom of Hindus. Similarly, Bankam's Anand Math (1882) is a novel about a secret Hindu militia that fights Muslims to establish a Hindu kingdom. This novel inspired any freedom fighters. Thus, the Indian novelists tried to produce a sense of national belonging and cultural equality with their colonial masters who considered the contemporary Tritian culture as inferior. The historical novels imagined the nation to be full of adventure, heroism, romance, and sacrifice. Please like and subscribe this channel.